Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lin. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Brasilia after attending the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro. The Prime Minister will hold bilateral talks with President Lula da Silva on key areas of cooperation. BRICS leaders push for empowering the Global South, reforms and responsible AI. Prime Minister Modi urges for lead by example approach, also calls for India climate justice, and he says that climate justice is not an option in India, it's a moral duty. And both Trump and Netanyahu express optimism of a ceasefire in Gaza as Netanyahu is set to visit the White House shortly. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Brasilia after attending the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro. On his arrival, Prime Minister Modi was warmly received by José Muccio, the Minister of Defense of Brazil, at the airport. The welcome was made delightfully musical by the traditional Brazilian samba reggae performance. Prime Minister Modi is in Brasilia for a state visit to Brazil, where he will be holding bilateral discussions with the Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on broadening of the strategic partnership between the two nations in areas of mutual interest, including trade, defense, energy, space, technology, agriculture, health, and people-to-people linkages. Well, that was the greeting at the airport, but now later Prime Minister Narendra Modi was given a grand traditional welcome in Brasilia at the hotel. Acharya Jonas Massetti and his associates, they recited the Shiv Tandav Strotam, while the indigenous people of Brazil's Amazon rainforest, they chanted local mantras. And taking to social media platform X, the Prime Minister said, and I quote him, "The Indian community accorded a memorable welcome, once again highlighting how passionate our diaspora is and how connected they remain with their roots," unquote.
जटाकटाह संभ्रम ब्रह्मण्यनि पनिर्जरी विलोल विचिवालरी विराजमान मूर्धनि धगत 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 ज्वला ललाटपटपावके किशोर चंद्रशेखरे रति प्रतीक्षणं मम धराधरेन्द्र नंदिनी विलास बंधु बंधुरा स्फुरा दिगंत संतति प्रमोदमान मानसे कृपा कटाक्ष धोरणी निरुद्ध दुर्धरापदि पशि दिगंबरे मनो विनोद हेतु वास्तुनि चटाभुजंग पिंगला स्फुरत्फणा मणिप्रभा कदंब कुंकुम द्रव प्रलिप्त दिग्वधू मुखे मदान सिंधुरा स्फुरत् कदुत्तरीय मेरुरे मनो विनोदमद्भुतं विभातभूत भर्तरि इमं हि नित्यमेव मुक्तमुत्तमोत्तमं सबं पठन् स्मरन् ब्रुवन् नरो विशुद्धिमेति सन्ततम् हरे गुरौ सुभक्तिमाशु याति नान्यथा गतिं विमोहनं विदेहिनां सुशङ्करस्य चिन्तनं विमोहनं विदेहिनां सुशङ्करस्य चिन्तनम्
ॐ शवा 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 शवा
Well, earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had addressed the session on environment, COP30 and global health at the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro. And in his intervention, the Prime Minister had stressed on strengthening shared efforts to make the planet healthier. The Prime Minister noted, and I'm taking the highlights from his speech, for India, climate change and environmental protection, they have always been subjects of the topmost priority. This has also been a part of our ancient culture. For India, climate change is not merely an issue of energy, it is about maintaining balance between life and nature. He said that India is driven by the spirit of people, planet and progress. And it is true that India has launched several numerous initiatives, in fact. These are like Mission Life for one, Lifestyle for the Environment. Then there is the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, or Tree for Mother. The big one, the International Solar Alliance, which has got so many countries on board, trying to harness the power of the sun within the tropics. Then there is the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, which is necessary for climate change and mitigation. Then the Green Hydrogen Mission. There is the Global Biofuels Alliance. Apart from that, the protection of big cats, the International Big Cats Alliance, trying to revive the big cats, the species all across the world. Despite being the world's fastest growing economy, India was the first country to achieve the Paris commitments well ahead of schedule. And for India, climate justice is not an option, as the Prime Minister said, it's a moral duty. In fact, India believes that without technology transfer and affordable financing for countries in need, climate action will remain confined merely to climate talks. The Prime Minister said that the health of our people and planet is interconnected. And if we recall, COVID-19 pandemic had taught us that viruses do not arrive with visas, nor are solutions chosen based on passports. Hence, the Prime Minister said, we have to strengthen our shared efforts to make our planet healthier. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with the President of Uruguay, Yamandu Orsi. This happened on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro. And the two leaders, they discussed the full spectrum of bilateral relations. In fact, there were key areas of discussion, strengthening bilateral trade and investment. The two sides had expressed interest in expanding of the India-Mercosur preferential trade agreement, which aims now to take trade to greater economic potential of trade, to unlock the trade complementarities between the two countries. And Prime Minister had expressed gratitude to President Orsi for the strong condemnation of the recent barbaric terrorist attack in Pahalgam, and he appreciated Uruguay's solidarity with India in the fight against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held a meeting with the President of Bolivia, Luis Alberto Arce. This happened in Rio de Janeiro, on the sidelines of the 17th BRICS summit. This meeting took place prior to the meeting with the President of Uruguay, and the two leaders, they reviewed bilateral cooperation. They expressed satisfaction with the progress being achieved. They expressed satisfaction over the ongoing developmental cooperation between the two countries, including through that Quick Impact Projects program, as well as the capacity building initiatives under the iTech Scholarship Program. And Prime Minister Modi expressed solidarity with the people of Bolivia in the wake of the severe flooding that occurred in March and April of 2025 in La Paz, several other parts of the country. And he congratulated Bolivia for joining the International Solar Alliance. Prime Minister Narendra Modi conveyed his best wishes to the people of Bolivia on the historic occasion of 200 years of their independence. And earlier, Prime Minister Modi addressed the inaugural session of the reform of global governance and peace and security at the BRICS summit, as well as another session on strengthening multilateral economic, financial affairs and artificial intelligence. The Prime Minister at the BRICS summit, the 17th BRICS summit, underlined that terrorism was a grave threat facing humanity. And the Prime Minister also called for working towards responsible AI.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the inaugural session on reform of global governance in peace and security, as well as session on strengthening multilateral economic financial affairs and artificial intelligence at the 17th BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. In his address at the inaugural session on reform of global governance in peace and security, Prime Minister Modi reaffirmed India's commitment to enhancing the voice of the Global South. PM Modi stated that global governance institutions such as UN Security Council, the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and the World Trade Organization must undergo urgent reform to reflect contemporary realities. Calling for strong global action against terrorism, Prime Minister Modi noted that those funding, promoting, or providing safe havens to terrorists must be dealt with in the harshest terms.
Honorable Prime Minister underlined that terrorism was a grave threat facing humanity. In this context, he noted that all the leaders have condemned Pahalgam terrorist attack in strongest terms.
While in his address at the session on strengthening multilateral economic financial affairs and artificial intelligence, Prime Minister Modi said that BRICS could play an important role in shaping a multipolar world. Prime Minister Modi offered 4 suggestions. First, BRICS New Development Bank must follow demand-driven principle and long-term sustainability for granting projects. 2. The group considers setting up a science and research repository which could benefit the Global South countries. 3. Focus must be given to make the supply chain of critical minerals secured and resilient. And number 4, group should work on responsible AI while looking into the concerns of AI governance. It should also give equal importance to promoting innovation in the field. At the conclusion of the leaders' session, member countries adopted the Rio de Janeiro Declaration. The leaders in the declaration noted that we reiterate our support for a comprehensive reform of the United Nations, including its Security Council, with a view to making it more democratic, representative, effective, and efficient. We condemn in the strongest terms the terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir on 22nd April 2025, during which 26 people were killed and many more injured. We reaffirm our commitment to combating terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, including the cross-border movement of terrorists, terrorism financing, and safe havens. We extend full support to India for its BRICS chairship in 2026 and holding the 18th BRICS Summit in India. On the sidelines of the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Prime Minister Modi also held bilateral meetings with various world leaders. PM Modi met the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar bin Ibrahim. PM Modi thanked Prime Minister Ibrahim for his strong condemnation of the Pahalgam terror attack. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met Cuba's President, Miguel Diaz-Canel Bermudez. The two leaders reviewed bilateral ties in the areas of economic cooperation, development partnership, fintech, capacity building, science and technology, disaster management, and healthcare. Besides this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met his Vietnamese counterpart Pham Minh Chinh on the sidelines of BRICS Summit in Brazil. Bureau Report, DD India.
And India's Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also participated in the BRICS finance ministers and central bank governors meeting held in Rio de Janeiro on Monday, where she underscored India's economic resilience and its commitment to inclusive multilateralism. Now, during the high-level discussions, the finance minister highlighted India's robust economic performance, attributing it to strong domestic demand, sound microeconomic management, as well as well-calibrated fiscal policies. Minister Sitharaman further said that India's policy response to trade and financial restrictions has focused on diversifying markets, promoting infrastructure-led growth, and implementing structural reforms aimed at boosting competitiveness and productivity. Let's now bring you a story that spans continents and cultures, a royal gift that changed the course of dairy farming in an entire country. DD India's Meghna Dev traces the legacy of Krishna the Bull that bridged the two nations, India and Brazil.
A unique initiative connects Bhavnagar in Gujarat to the distant land of Brazil. The Gir bull named Krishna was given to Brazil by the then Maharaja of Bhavnagar as a gift, which sowed seeds of white revolution, of dairy revolution in Latin America. What began as a royal gift in 1960 has now blossomed into a global partnership. In the land of Bhavnagar, Gujarat, a bull named Krishna embarked on a journey beyond borders 65 years ago. Gifted to Brazil in 1960 by the Maharaja of Bhavnagar to Celson Garcia Cid, a cattle baron, this bull was not just an animal but a symbol of India's cultural ethos. The bull belonging to the Gir breed is known for its resilience, high milk yield and spiritual significance, especially in the Vaishnavite tradition where cows are considered companions of Lord Krishna.
India gifted Gir and Kankrej, two breeds of cows, to Brazil, and since then Brazil has done tremendous development, tremendous scientific development to crossbreed and better these cows to produce more milk, and that is how we are talking about white revolution in Brazil.
It was the Maharaja of Bhavnagar, Maharaja Krishna Kumar Singh Ji Gohil, who was very kind to gift the Gir cattle, precisely a Gir bull, to the Brazilian gentleman we very fondly remember as Celso Garcia Cid. And it is this relation that has helped us maintain a very, very good relationship with the people of Brazil till today. One gift from Bhavnagar has helped Brazil in a tremendous way in terms of the income that they've made from the dairy and how well they've utilized it.
Brazil has been a consistent admirer of Indian indigenous cattle breeds. Over the years, the country has developed one of the largest Gir cattle populations outside India, originally imported from Gujarat. These cows now play a key role in Brazil's dairy industry.
My grandfather bought some cows from Maharaja and very good bulls too. And he brought Krishna to Brazil, but unfortunately Krishna died in 1961. But he left a very good son called Krishna Sakina. Now we have thousands of descendants of Krishna Sakina. We thank India for this magnificent gift.
From Bhavnagar to Brazil, this was the journey of a bull named Krishna. The gesture was more than diplomacy. It's a living emblem of India's philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. Meghna Dev's report for DD India.
And still to come here on this edition of DD India Live. 11 people are dead in Kenya during protests after heavy police deployment. And rescuers continue to search for missing girls in Texas as the death toll there has crossed 100.
I love the atmosphere of the yatra. So many people come from each part of India, and it's like everybody, we're in the same community. No difference between people, and it's wonderful. We go all together for the same goal, to see the cave, to feel the atmosphere of the cave.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday told the US President Donald Trump that he had nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize, handing Trump a nomination letter during a meeting at the White House. And speaking to reporters at the beginning of their meeting, Netanyahu said that Israel was working with the United States to find countries that would give Palestinians a better future. So Trump has received multiple Nobel Peace Prize nominations from supporters and loyal lawmakers over the years, and has made no secret of his irritation at missing out on the prestigious award. US President Trump is expected to discuss the situations in Gaza and in Iran during a meeting with Netanyahu at the White House. US President Donald Trump announced 25% tariffs on imports from Japan and South Korea effective August 1 in letters shared on his Truth Social platform. He warned any retaliatory tariff increase would be met with equivalent hikes. And currently, under a 10% levy, both countries, Japan and South Korea, risk higher rates amid stalled negotiations. Trump had extended the original July 9 tariff deadline to allow more time for talks. Around a dozen other countries are also expected to receive similar warnings. Now, these measures are part of a broader tariff campaign, which deals only with deals only having been reached so far with the UK and Vietnam. The financial markets have reacted negatively, with the US-listed Japanese automaker stocks falling.
Focused on. The president will also sign an executive order today delaying the July 9th deadline to August 1st. So the reciprocal tariff rate, or these new rates that will be provided in this correspondence to these foreign leaders, will be going out the door within the next month, or deals will be made. And those countries continue to negotiate with the United States. We've seen a lot of positive developments in the right direction, but the administration, the president, and his trade team want to cut the best deals for the American people and the American.
Well, South Korea said that it plans to intensify trade talks with the United States and considers President Trump's plan for a 25% tariff from August 1 as effectively extending a grace period on implementing reciprocal tariffs. South Korea's industry minister said in a statement that the letter effectively extends a grace period on implementation of reciprocal tariffs by the United States. South Korea's top trade envoy and presidential security advisor, they have both traveled to the United States in recent days for trade and defense talks as Asia's fourth largest economy races to seek an exemption from Trump's threatened tariffs. The industry ministry, in a statement, conceded that it did not have enough time after the start of the new administration in South Korea to reach an agreement with the United States on all issues despite intense negotiations. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said that the European Union must show strength in the ongoing trade talks with the United States. Her comments came as von der Leyen will be facing the European Parliament for a no-confidence vote. They brought one against her on Thursday in the latest challenge to her leadership.
When the Commission sits down with the United States to negotiate on trade and tariffs, Europe must show strength. When we stand up for Ukraine's future, Europe must show strength. Or when we go to China to defend our interests, Europe must show strength. And this strength only comes through our unity. So let us come together. Let us keep delivering for Europe. Long live Europe.
The Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said that he believes Iran can resolve its differences with the United States through dialogue. But trust would be an issue after the United States and Israeli attacks on his country, according to an interview released on Monday. The Iranian leader urged the US President Donald Trump not to be drawn into a war with Iran by Israeli leader Netanyahu, who is visiting Washington on Monday for talks at the White House, which are currently on.
once again, I would like to tell you that it is Israel that does not want such things to happen in the region. Israel does not want to see peace and tranquility in the region. But I would like to once again repeat that the United States President, Mr. Trump, is he's capable enough to guide the region towards a peace and a brighter future and put Israel in its place, or get into a pit, an endless pit or a swamp. And that is a war that Netanyahu wants the United States or the U.S. president to be dragged into. So it is up to the United States president to choose which path that I told you about.
The death toll from the catastrophic flooding in Texas rose to more than 100 on Monday as rescuers continued their grim search for people swept away by torrents of water. Among the dead were at least 27 girls and counselors who were staying at a youth summer camp on a river when the disaster struck over the 4th of July holiday weekend. President Donald Trump is planning to visit Texas on Friday, the White House has said, as it slammed critics claiming that his cuts to weather agencies had weakened weather warnings. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app, which is available on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.